The financial world just got shaken on live television. Kevin O'Leary, sitting under Fox News lights with Will Cain, looked straight into the camera and dropped a line that stopped the markets cold. In 92 days, the world will be moving to stable coins. You could almost feel the silence after that. Before we dive in, quick reminder, this video is not financial advice. It's for informational and educational purposes only. Always do your own research, talk to a licensed professional, and never invest money you can't afford to lose. The markets move fast. Stay smart, stay skeptical, and stay prepared. This wasn't a tweet, not a rumor, not a YouTube theory. It was a direct admission on mainstream television that the United States and its Treasury backbone are moving on-chain. And if you understand what that means, you know exactly why the XRP ledger community is buzzing tonight. Because Kevin didn't just talk about crypto. He talked about the entire monetary system being rebuilt, and he called the timing. 92 days. That's not someday, that's this quarter. And when someone who manages billions, who sits inside institutional boardrooms and political meetings, speaks that precisely about timeline and legislation, it's because he's already seen the blueprint. He explained that the United States has already passed regulatory clarity for digital payment systems. Stablecoins are now lawful financial instruments. That single line changes everything. For 12 years, Wall Street talked about putting markets on blockchain, but there was no compliant structure to do it. Now there is. And while the average viewer heard another segment about digital money, anyone paying attention to Ripple and XRP saw the veil lift on what's really happening. O'Leary described a future where your phone, powered by AI, connects directly to blockchain payment rails. You say the order, coffee, groceries, whatever, and the payment clears in a fraction of a second on-chain. No card reader, no swipe, no delay. He even said it outright. Ethereum and Solana can't handle that scale. They jam when volume spikes. You'll need new rails built for institutional velocity. He didn't name XRP, but he might as well have. Because there's only one system publicly tested by banks, corporates, and central banks that already does what he's describing. The XRP ledger running RippleNet with on-demand liquidity. And here's where it gets wild. Kevin then laid out what he called the Clarity Act, legislation finalizing stablecoin definitions inside U.S. law within the next 90 days. That means the very foundation Ripple's been building for a decade, regulated dollar-backed liquidity on-chain, goes from concept to federal framework. Think about the ripple effect. Pun, absolutely intended. If the United States government validates stablecoins backed by Treasury bills, then Ripple's RLUSD model, which is literally a U.S. Treasury-backed digital dollar, becomes the most compliant form of money on the planet. And Kevin O'Leary just told the world that stablecoins will soon hold more treasuries than most central banks. That's not a small prediction. That's institutional money migration. It's the shift from paper to protocol, from banks holding your value to blockchains moving it. He also gave away the roadmap. AI plus blockchain equals frictionless commerce. Your phone knows your habits. Your AI assistant places the order. Blockchain settles the payment instantly. That's not sci-fi. That's where Ripple has been positioning for years. Machine-to-machine payments, tokenized settlements, real-time liquidity. And the one thing that unlocks it all is speed. Ethereum's too slow. Bitcoin's too heavy. Solana's too fragile, but XRP settles in 3 to 4 seconds with fractions of a cent in cost. That's why the institutions who actually understand infrastructure are paying attention now. O'Leary called this a good outcome. He said we're not moving away from the US dollar, we're moving away from paper dollars toward Treasury-backed digital cash. Read between the lines. He's describing a stablecoin economy running on regulated blockchain rails where value circulates through tokenized treasuries instead of bank IOUs. And that's precisely what Ripple has engineered. RLUSD for the stable layer, XRP for the liquidity bridge, XRPL for settlement. When Fox News anchors hear that, they think convenience. When investors hear that, they think efficiency. When we hear that, we think mass adoption event. Now take a breath and realize what just happened. For years, crypto analysts fought to convince mainstream media that blockchain would eventually merge with traditional finance. Tonight, that narrative flipped. Mainstream media just told their audience the change is official, policy is written, implementation is underway, the countdown is public, and for the first time, the average American sitting on their couch heard a billionaire investor explain blockchain payments as normal as buying a burger. That's psychological normalization, the first step before mass onboarding. Every technological revolution starts exactly this way. Television confirms what early adopters already knew. We saw it with the internet, with smartphones, with streaming. And now it's happening with digital money. So when Kevin said, in 92 days, he wasn't throwing out hype. He was signaling coordination. The legislative machinery is in motion. Regulated stablecoins will soon anchor the world's liquidity pools, and the infrastructure, capable of handling hundreds of millions of transactions per minute, is already built by Ripple. The dots are aligning faster than anyone expected, and the world just got its on-air confirmation. This is the moment everything we've been tracking moved from theory to inevitability. When Kevin said 92 days, he wasn't guessing. That number lines up almost perfectly with the legislative and infrastructure timelines Ripple has been hinting at for months. The stablecoin clarity bill is set to finalize before year-end. Ripple's RLUSD launch is scheduled for full regulatory rollout, and global Treasury-backed liquidity pools are being constructed behind the scenes by the very institutions that once called crypto a fad. Now they're quietly preparing to run settlements through digital rails. The timing isn't coincidence, it's synchronization. O'Leary mentioned that once these systems go live, stablecoins will hold more US treasuries than any private entity on Earth. That's the pivot point. The dollar doesn't die, it evolves. Paper becomes code, liquidity becomes programmable, and whoever controls the rails that move it will shape the next century of global finance. Ripple built those rails years before this conversation even hit television. That's what makes this moment so monumental. While most people are just waking up to the concept of on-chain dollars, Ripple already has compliance-grade systems connecting banks, treasuries, and payment corridors across more than 70 markets. In simple terms, Kevin just told the world that the architecture of money is being upgraded, and he gave the countdown. He made it sound consumer-friendly, voice orders, instant checkout. But underneath, it's institutional infrastructure that matters. This is the part the masses will only realize later. Every one of those AI-driven payments still needs a settlement layer. That's where XRP comes in. You can't run real-time digital commerce at scale without instantaneous liquidity, and that's exactly what XRP provides. Fast, compliant, interoperable liquidity bridging across networks. It's not about replacing banks. It's about giving them rails that actually work in a world where trillions move at machine speed. Hold on tight for the next 30 seconds because you are not going to miss what is being revealed next. The world thinks they're hearing about AI convenience. We're watching the backbone of the new financial system being switched on. The truth is, the 92-day countdown isn't just about stablecoins. It's about the global financial grid quietly shifting to a system that no longer sleeps. Kevin O'Leary just confirmed what insiders have been whispering since Ripple's acquisition started stacking. Regulation is no longer a theory. It's the framework for the new monetary internet. For years, Ripple's executives have been saying the same phrase. We're building the internet of value. Now live on FOX News. The mainstream finally said it too, only in different words. If you appreciate content that cuts through the noise and connects the dots before the mainstream does, hit that like button, drop a comment for the algo, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss what's coming next. We're just getting started. When Kevin said stablecoins will soon hold more US treasuries than any private institution, he was describing the transfer of power. Money itself is being recoded. Instead of sitting idle in bank vaults or trapped in settlement delays, liquidity will move across programmable networks in real time. That means trillions of dollars circulating 24/7, every second, every time zone. And when that switch flips, the rails already capable of handling that velocity, XRP and the Ripple network, become the natural foundation. Look closer at the architecture Kevin described. AI on your phone executing voice payments, blockchain confirming transactions instantly, stablecoins representing treasury-backed value. That's exactly what Ripple's RLUSD was designed to do, move dollar liquidity on-chain with institutional-grade compliance. The timing is uncanny. Ripple launched RLUSD months before this segment aired. Now, Kevin O'Leary just told the world that stablecoins backed by treasuries are the future of money, and that it's all happening inside 90 days. That's convergence, not coincidence. Every market reset begins with a countdown like this. First the disbelief, then the headlines, then the migration. Right now, we're between phase 1 and 2. The institutions are preparing, the legislation is aligning, and the public is just starting to notice. When the mainstream finally realizes that Ripple has been building the plumbing underneath this shift, it'll already be too late to catch up. That's why you're here now, seeing what most won't until it's on every screen. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, drop reset in the comments to prove you watched till the end. And remember, None of this is financial advice, just perspective for those paying attention before the world catches on. Like, subscribe, and stay locked in to the Matrix Millionaire movement. Because when the countdown hits 0, the financial system we know will never look the same again.